Foolish people, who have never analyzed their minds, indulge their desires and seek pleasure from outside objects. No one has succeeded in attaining self-control by being a slave to desires, nor has anyone become free from desires by gratifying them. Therefore, a yogi says, "As fire is not quenched by butter, so the fire of desire will never be put out by the objects of pleasure. The more butter is poured on a fire, the more it will flare up. Similarly, the more the objects of desire are indulged, the more the desires will increase. If a person were to possess all the objects upon this earth, still his greed would not stop. He would seek something more. Thirst for enjoyment is the real disease in us. Its various symptoms are passions, ambition, pride, hatred, jealousy, anger, etc. Tremendous mental strength and willpower are required to control the restless mind from taking the forms of waves of passion and anger. The perfect restlessness of the mind of an ordinary person who is the slave to his desires and passions has been vividly described by a yogi. The poet could not find a better illustration than to compare it with a monkey who is restless by nature. Then, thinking this was not quite enough, he added drunken monkey, stunned by a scorpion, so you can imagine the restlessness of that poor monkey. Still the poet found something lacking in the simile, so he completed it by saying, "At last the monkey was possessed by a demon." Most people have such a mind. Naturally it is restless, but it becomes more so when it drinks the wine of ambition, still more when it is stunned by the scorpion of jealousy. But the climax is reached when the demon of pride enters the mind and takes possession of it. In such a case, how difficult it is to bring the mind under control. To conquer mind is more difficult than to conquer the whole world. He is the greatest hero and the real conqueror of the world who has conquered his own mind. Therefore, we should pay special attention to the study of our own mind. We should learn to analyze the nature of our mind and constantly watch over its various modifications, trying to develop and strengthen the willpower. A yogi develops his willpower by daily practice of concentration and meditation. He rouses up the higher powers and continues to fight against his biggest enemies within the mind with firmness and determination until he accomplishes his end. Perfect self-control of a yogi is that state of mind where no desires or passions of any kind disturb the peace and tranquility of his soul. Such a state can be acquired more easily by removing the bubbles of desires before they take the waveform of passions. That is, by attacking them while they are in their weak state. This can be done either by right discrimination of the nature of desire, or by comparing the transitory sense pleasures with the serene, peaceful mind which is undisturbed by desires or passions. We should also remember that the highest ideal of our life is not pleasure of the senses, nor slavery to desires and passions, but the attainment of mastery over the lower self or ego and the manifestation of the Supreme Self. Concentrate your mind upon the Supreme Self and do not let it be disturbed by any other thought or desire at that time. When Buddha sat in meditation under the Bodhi tree, all the dormant impressions began to rise in his mind. They are described as the attendants of Mara, the personified evil thought. But Buddha said, "It is better to die on the battlefield while fighting with enemy than to be defeated and forced to live like a slave, seeking little bits of sense pleasures and enjoyments." With such a strong determination, Buddha became master of himself. Whosoever will display similar determination of purpose and strength of character will surely attain perfect self-control. They alone who have acquired self-control enjoy eternal peace and happiness in this life and attain the highest goal, the knowledge of the Divine Self.